KSI just announced that May 31st was his final Sidemen video.
Today, 31st of May, will be my final Sidemen video.
After 13 years, he wasn't clickbaiting, trolling, or screaming. It was just KSI sitting in front of a camera, quietly ending an era. This sudden decision led to shocking reactions from the other members and backlash online. But before we get into that, why did he make this announcement alone? Why not as a group? Because that one detail is what the internet cannot stop talking about. Today, we're splitting this right down the middle. The announcement, the reactions, and then the two biggest possibilities. Is this the domino effect that ends the Sidemen, or is it just the greatest prank in YouTube history? Both cases are stronger than you think, and by the end of this, I'm going to tell you exactly which one I believe. That's JJ, the loudest member of the group, the engine, the guy who, more than anyone else, put the Sidemen on the map, and he just said goodbye. Hearing that felt like something that genuinely wasn't supposed to happen. JJ uploaded the video to his personal channel, speaking directly to the camera in a tone we almost never hear from him. There was no hype, no screaming, no bravado. He was extremely monotone and honest. And his reasoning wasn't drama, it wasn't infighting, it wasn't falling out, it was burnout, it was work-life balance. It was one of the most relatable things he's ever said publicly. Remember, JJ is a boxer, a musician, a CEO, a YouTuber. He was trying to give 100% to 5 different careers at the same time. He admitted he found it hard to make time for himself, his family, his partner.
I definitely found it hard to find time for my family. I found it hard to make time for the people I love.
He said the Sidemen deserve someone who can be fully present.
The Sidemen deserve someone who can give 100%. And right now I know I can't do that.
He recorded individual messages for each of the boys, thanking them and thanking the crew. In an Instagram post days after, KSI doubled down on his departure, confirming to fans that he officially left the Sidemen. To make matters even more final, the group removed JJ's personal YouTube channel from the featured channel section. But almost immediately after the video went live, the reactions from the rest of the Sidemen caused confusion. Instead of a unified emotional farewell, the boys took to Twitter, social media, and their own videos with cryptic responses. Some members addressed it with vague comments, while others seemingly brushed it off or trolled the fanbase entirely. The stark contrast between JJ's emotional video and the unbothered reactions from his best friends immediately made the internet suspicious. The Friday after the initial announcement, the Sidemen even put out a statement saying that the group has mixed emotions when JJ announced his departure. They also agreed that the way it was presented was not the way it should have happened. They did provide reassurance that the Sidemen Sundays would still continue to be a thing. Which brings us to the two possibilities. And remember, if the departure case is right, the Sidemen as we know them may have ended the moment the video went live. If KSI is actually leaving, you can make a very strong argument that this could realistically be the beginning of the end for the group. The Sidemen have talked before about how if one member leaves, it changes everything. And when you look at their lives, a domino effect makes perfect sense. They started in an Xbox party chat in 2013. The diss track season in 2017 nearly broke everything, and instead made them the biggest group in British YouTube. They sold out the London Stadium before JJ had started Prime, before any of them had a restaurant on the high street. All of that, every subscriber, every house, every Sidemen Sunday was built by those 7. But between 2013 and now, all of them have grown up. All of their lives started to look almost unrecognizable from the Stratford halo, because they aren't just a YouTube group anymore, they're a company. Sidemen clothing moved past the standard YouTube merch model into a legitimate streetwear brand. Sides, their fried chicken franchise, now runs multiple physical restaurant locations and delivery kitchens. XIX vodka is sitting in major supermarkets. Then there's Prime, which disrupted the global beverage market in a way nobody really saw coming. Side Plus added a second content slate on top of normal Sundays. And then there's Inside, their most recent move into traditional television territory, a full broadcast crew, production schedules, the kind of logistical overhead that a standard YouTube shoot simply doesn't have. And all of this adds up: physical store locations, global supply chains, 2 separate content pipelines, a boxing career, a music career, thousands of people on payroll across multiple businesses. And do all of that while somehow also being a fully present member of a group that films a 12-hour production every single week. At some point, the math stops working. This is the weight JJ decided he couldn't keep carrying into year 14. Now, if this is real, the window where 7 people can align their lives around a weekly 12-hour Sunday shoot is narrowing every second. KSI might be the first, but I don't think he's the last. And I'll tell you exactly who I think is next, and why, before this video is over. But first, let's talk about the other side, and this case is genuinely stronger than most people are giving it credit for. The Sidemen have built an empire on trolls, manufactured drama, and marketing moments. When you spend a decade crying wolf for views, people are naturally going to question you when the real wolf finally shows up. So let's actually take the prank theory seriously, because if you pull out the threads, it holds together in a way that's hard to dismiss. The biggest theory is what people are calling the Inside theory, and the timing here is not subtle. Inside is their most expensive project to date, broadcast level production, a full cast, a proper distribution infrastructure. It launched as their flagship Side Plus content, which means it lives and dies on subscription numbers. Now ask yourself, what's the single most powerful way to drive a mass subscription event on Side Plus? A controversy so big it breaks through to mainstream coverage, followed by a resolution that is exclusive to subscribers. JJ announces he's leaving, the entire internet reacts, and then JJ comes back, exclusively on Side Plus. The reveal happens behind the paywall. You either subscribe or you miss the moment. Does that sound far-fetched? Because it shouldn't. The Sidemen have done versions of this before. Staged fallouts, fake beef, manufactured tensions that turn into a video. They've been running that playbook since 2016. The difference here is the scale, and the fact that JJ is specifically the one who leaves isn't random either. It has to be JJ. He's the biggest name. His departure generates the most noise, and his return generates the most relief. The whole thing only works as a marketing moment if it's KSI. There's also something worth noting about the format of the reactions from the other boys.
I mean, you may have seen the news that has just been dropped. I didn't know that video was going out now, so I'm expecting a lot of people to just ask me about that.
They weren't devastated, they were vague, they were cryptic. Some of them seemed to be actively enjoying the chaos. And that's not how you react to your best friend of 13 years actually leaving. That's how you react when you know something the audience doesn't. Then there's the Arsenal theory, which is either a legitimate read on JJ's emotional state or the funniest possible explanation for all of this. Arsenal has just bottled the Premier League title race again, right around the time the video dropped. Several of the boys had already made jokes on social media connecting the two. The theory is basically that JJ had a complete emotional breakdown over football and filmed a goodbye video in the immediate aftermath. Objectively, the timing lines up. And if you've watched JJ react to Arsenal matches for any length of time, you know that this is not entirely outside the realm of possibility. Whether you believe it or not, it earned its place in the conversation. Here's the thing though, both theories, the inside play and the Arsenal meltdown, share the same problem. They require the individual recorded messages for each member to be part of the act. They require JJ to have filmed a deeply personal, low production, secondary channel video entirely without the energy or format of something designed to go viral. And that's a lot of commitment to a bit, which brings us back to why a lot of people think this is actually real. While the prank theory gained serious traction, a separate conversation was happening that focused less on whether the exit was real and more on the specific way it was announced. For a group that has built its brand on shared experiences, the solo format caught a lot of viewers off guard. The Sidemen have historically documented their major milestones as a collective unit, moving into shared houses, hitting subscriber milestones, the charity matches. The group's identity is tied to being together on camera. Seeing their most prominent member announce his departure in a quiet solo video on a second channel felt out of character to a large portion of the audience. A lot of fans expected a group video, all 7 of them, sitting together, reflecting on GTA 5 lobbies and Tinder IRL, a proper structured farewell. The solo upload felt abrupt to them. But here's an interesting observation about that criticism. The fans who wanted a highly produced farewell are essentially asking for the exact type of production cycle he's trying to step away from. In his video, he cited the exhaustion of turning personal moments into optimized content for a massive audience.
Over the last few years, I felt myself being pulled in a lot of directions than ever before. Between everything else in my life, I feel like I've been running at full speed at 100 miles an hour. I spent so long trying to be everything for everyone, trying to be everywhere, trying to do it all, trying not to let anyone down. But somewhere along the way, I started losing the balance of my own life.
By choosing to turn on a camera in his room and speak directly, no crew, no edit, he opted for the simplest possible approach. He was mirroring the way he started creating videos over a decade ago. The format wasn't a mistake. It might have been the most honest part of the whole thing. So here's the big question. What comes next? We've got 6 guys, a massive multi-business empire, a weekly production that usually needs the full group, and suddenly no JJ. What does a Sidemen actually look like without him? Honestly, the channel will probably be totally fine. The fanbase is genuinely attached to all 7 of them, not just JJ. The other 6 have already proven that they can carry a Sidemen Sunday. Back in 2016, if JJ missed a video, it was a massive deal. He was the main draw. But today, the formats do the heavy lifting. Cheap versus expensive holidays, the game shows, the massive hide-and-seek videos, the Among Us. Those don't rely on one person to be entertaining. The structure of the content is strong enough to stand on its own. But there's a real question about who absorbs what JJ brought to the room, because he didn't just bring his face to the screen. He brought a specific type of energy. He's loud, chaotic. He's a guy who makes every silly character feel like it actually matters because he gets so competitive over it. If they're playing trivia, JJ is the one screaming when he gets an answer wrong. That energy keeps the pacing fast and keeps the audience engaged.
Yes! Tell me you're dumb, fam!
Okay.
You're dumb! You're dumb!
I wouldn't go that far.
Hey! It's
I wouldn't go that far.
Without him, the channel can still function, but it won't feel the same. Someone else will have to fill that loud, competitive role, and the audience will definitely notice. And there's a bigger issue, which is the business side. JJ wasn't just a member, he was the group's mainstream crossover engine. When he does a press conference for a boxing match, he's wearing Sidemen clothing. He brings in people who don't normally watch YouTube. Without that constant mainstream reach pushing new eyes onto their projects, the businesses have to rely much more heavily on their existing fan base. And Inside doesn't run on nostalgia. A project that size needs massive viewership to justify what it costs to make. But here's what I actually think matters most in this whole conversation, and it's not about JJ at all, it's about Harry. If this departure is genuinely real, the chaotic reactions make it seem like the boys are currently not on the best of terms. Furthermore, the way this entire situation has been handled publicly has caused a significant amount of backlash directed towards KSI from the fanbase. Harry already did this. He stepped away from solo content entirely, not because he was forced to, but because the grind became too much. He redirected everything into the Sidemen Sundays and made that his entire creative output. For Harry, Sundays became the sanctuary, the one thing he could still give without it costing him everything. And that decision didn't come out of nowhere. It came from someone who had genuinely hit a wall and made a choice to protect himself. If this is real, Harry is the next name I'd be watching. In typical Harry fashion, his reaction to JJ leaving was lighthearted and offered a sense of comedic relief. Because if Sundays stop being the sanctuary, if the format changes, if the energy shifts at all, if the group gets smaller and the shoots get harder to justify, then the one thing Harry restructured his entire career around starts to look different. And Harry has already shown he'll make the call when something stops working for him. Remember what the Sidemen have always said: if one member leaves, the group will not be the same. And after Harry, you could justify the absence of many more members. Simon is now married. Ethan has a child. Josh is getting old. The point is that all of the Sidemen have grown up. And that's the thing, JJ didn't break the Sidemen. He just said the quiet part out loud before anyone else did. He admitted that trying to balance a massive career, a weekly group commitment, and a private life is too much to sustain forever. And that's not unique to him. That's a situation that every single one of them is quietly navigating. The end of the Sidemen, if it comes, won't be a sudden event. The channel won't just get deleted one day. It'll be a slow process. Weekly videos becoming monthly, guests filling empty spots, the group changing shape as they all get older. But whether this specific situation is a prank or the actual truth, the process of them slowing down started the exact moment JJ pressed upload. But if I can provide one takeaway from this entire video, it's that I grew up on the Sidemen, and regardless of the situation now, I'll always be grateful to all of them.